Moving to Palm Beach, the problem. My name is Ray Fernandez. I'm living in Palm Beach, Florida, powered by eXp Luxury. Welcome. If you are thinking about moving to Florida, there are a few things you need to know. There are a few problems. Number one, you might be thinking about right now, insurance. We will cover that, so stick around to the end, because that's the number one problem that people have when moving to Florida. But there's more than just that. We here at Living in Palm Beach, Florida, we see it all, and we're here to tell you exactly what you should be thinking about if you're considering living in Florida. Each week, we give people an idea of what it's like living in Florida, and it's not all roses. Let me say this. You might have been to Florida on vacation. Moving to Florida, living in Florida is not like vacationing here in Florida. Here at Living in Palm Beach, Florida, we are the #1 relocation team in our area. We help people consider moving and relocating to this part of Florida. We are here in South Florida, but we truly help people all over Florida. So we've done it before, and we know what's involved when it comes to relocating and considering moving to Florida. I have a few things I hear all the time. I work with people moving here, thinking about it, and some of the feedback I get, I'm going to talk about here on this video. As an example, let's go over, I talked about insurance, but let me go over at least a couple other things that people often say when considering living and moving to Florida. If you are thinking about moving to Florida and you want advice, you want to ask questions from people who have actually done it before, well, there's a few ways to get a hold of us. Down below is our email address. That's one great way. Also, you see on the screen, you see our phone number. You can either call or text that number. Literally, two of the best ways is in the description and in the comments section, there's a link. Click on that link. What that'll do is that'll help us set up some time for us to speak, either through a phone call or through a Zoom, whatever way you feel most comfortable. In any case, we have your back when it comes to relocating to here in Florida. I'm here in one of the most expensive areas of Florida. I'm on the island of Palm Beach. These places in the background here are worth millions of dollars. Not all of Florida's like that. Here in Palm Beach, where we're sitting, the county of Palm Beach, the average home is about $620,000. Now, let me go over some of the things that we hear. The problem when it comes to moving to Florida, I often hear this: land. I want a big piece of land. I want, good schools. I want to be on the ocean. Sometimes we find people are very unrealistic. This is not your 1980s Florida anymore. So we often hear this. I've looked at some of the places that you told us about, Ray, and I just don't see that there's enough land. That is one problem when it comes to moving to Florida. So a lot of the communities here are gated communities, or we'll talk a little bit more about HOAs later. That's one of the other problems. We'll preview of what's coming up. Oftentimes I see people when they're looking at Florida, some of the best properties are in these master plan communities. It's just the way it is. This area that you see out here, you see some condos here on Palm Beach. A lot of this stuff that you see on the ocean, they were built so long ago. It's old. And in fact, if you haven't seen it, look at it there later after this video. We did a video on the risk of the condo crisis that we've experienced here in Florida. So a lot of the places on the ocean are in fact seeing that. So most of the people moving and considering moving to Florida are looking a little bit further west that way, and we help a lot of people that way. There are a few master plan communities that are very prevalent in our area here in South Florida. More on that later. But needless to say, when people are looking out there, we often hear the criticism, the problem, that, Ray, there's just not enough land. I'm coming from an acre of land, and it's going to be too hard for me to assimilate, be too hard for me to adjust to having so little property. There are some answers to that. You can get some bigger pieces of property. It's not like it's impossible. There are I can think of two communities off the top of my head that have large pieces of property, actually three, that have larger pieces of property. But in general, when you're looking here in Florida and you're looking at the master plan communities, there's a few of them, like right now here in Palm Beach, one of the most prevalent ones is Avenir. We are like the #1 broker when it comes to Avenir. We've done business in almost all the communities out that way. Most of the time, the lots are going to be something like a little bit under, or about a quarter of an acre. Now, I moved here from New York 18 years ago. I haven't looked back. I say this in most of my videos. 18 years ago, we moved to this beautiful place we call sunny South Florida, and we haven't looked back. I've mentioned that in pretty much every video. Now, I came from an acre of property, so I know what you mean by this. I, at the time, was fed up with having to take care of an acre of property. Maybe you are too. Maybe you're not. Maybe you love it. In any case, it's hard to get that kind of property unless you're looking at these other areas I'm alluding to. Reach out to our team if you want to know specifically about some of those areas. But nonetheless, going back to Avenir, most of those properties are about an acre. There are some oversized lots out there, as an example, and but you're going to pay a lot more money when you buy a new construction home. You often buy the base price. You pay for the base price of the house, and you buy the lot of land. So this is sort of like a fin out there. Holy crow! Look at that. There's dolphins here. Holy crow! When you're buying new construction, oftentimes, that's our business, relocations, right? Most of the people that are moving here from other places in other states and other countries, and we deal a lot with that, other countries as well, they're buying new construction. That's mostly what people are buying today. That's a hint. We are a new home co-broker. We have relationships with all the builders, and we seek this all. In any event, when you're buying that when you're buying the home, you're buying the lot separately with the same builder is how it works. And lots of times they're about an acre, quarter acre, or a little bit under, but you're paying a premium on that land. And lots of times it's going to be, I've seen them for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so you can get property that's bigger, but it will cost you some more money. So when it comes to land, we have a couple of communities where you can buy homes with home sites with lots of land, meaning an acre, meaning 5 acres. I'm in touch with a seller, with a few sellers that have 5 acres for sale. You could do that, but it's going to cost you more money. You have a place way out west. If you go north and west, I know of a seller looking to sell a 5-acre piece of property. It is beautiful. But it's in the middle of nowhere. But some people might like that. So there is some of that, but it will cost you money. You can go to Bridgewater in Jupiter. Beautiful community, a little bit out west in Jupiter. Homes start at about $2 or $3 million. So that's part of the issue. If you're looking at some of these master plan communities and you want a half an acre, that's easy. We could do that. We've done that. So if land is one of the problems when it comes to moving to Florida, reach out. We'd love to help you. So once again, one of the problems when it comes to moving to Florida is there is just not a lot of land. One of the other problems when it comes to moving to Florida is HOAs, or homeowners associations. So we get this often. If you live in an area like we were in New York, and we moved here from Long Island, New York, and we were not used to homeowners associations. We didn't have them up there where we were in Glen Cove, Long Island. They just simply did not exist. Many places around the United States just don't have them, and it's an adjustment. But here in Florida, we are the land of homeowners associations. Most of the places here in Palm Beach are homeowners associations, unless you're even these condos that you see here. They're condos association. There's a big risk with that, as I mentioned earlier. But that's one of the things I get a lot of. So that's a problem. I get a lot of people that say, I don't want people telling me what to do. I get that all the time. Listen, I personally, and I've made the adjustment, I personally think that homeowners associations are really good if you get the right one. If they're not managed well, they can be a nightmare, and I don't blame you for thinking that. But I personally became active with my board, and now I'm president of my board after several years later, and I have a major impact in our community. You could do that too. If that's something that you want to know more about, if you're thinking about moving to Florida and you want to get a sense as how that can look, you might need to you might need to deal with it, so you might as well get involved with it. there are some good things about home rule. There are some good things about homeowners associations. Like if the guy next door is not cutting his grass, you can do something about it. If he decides to paint his house purple and orange or something like that, you can do something about that. The HOAs do keep a little bit of sanity when it comes to your neighborhood, but that's a problem. Some people have a big problem with having associations or a body of people telling them what to do. So one of the other problems when it comes to moving to Florida is HOAs. So the number one problem, and I'm going to give you a solution, the number one problem when it comes to moving to Florida is insurance. When I say insurance, I'm talking about mainly homeowners insurance. Also, auto insurance is a factor too. As an example, I find the home auto insurance much more expensive here than up in New York, believe it or not. Not egregiously, but it is more money. So these are some of the things that you need to factor in. Of course, there are other good things about Florida when it comes to taxes, which is we have no state income tax. But one of the big factors holding people back from moving to Florida is insurance. Let me give you a reason why people are not moving here because of insurance. If you buy an older home, and when I say older, I don't mean like the older homes you have across other parts of the country. I'm talking about 10 years or more. Like recent ancient history. Insurance carriers are looking very unfavorably today at those kind of homes. We do get hurricanes here. That is a problem. They come from that way generally. When you see a hurricane approaching Florida, lots of times they're coming from the east, out that way, and which is why there's a perfect environment to make this film. And that's a factor when it comes to insurance. But probably the biggest factor is that because the homes here are built really strong. The new homes here are built stronger than any place else in the country. I challenge anyone to say, no, we have better ones here. You don't. We have impact windows on new construction. They're like rated up to 200 miles an hour. They're extremely strong. But here's the reason. Here's one of the biggest reasons why insurance is a big problem here in Florida. Roofs. The roof on a home. They can be expensive. They have a life cycle of about 30 years. And the insurance companies don't want to insure you in year one, as an example, and then in year two have to pay for your brand new roof. To make matters worse, what people were doing, where they were basically putting in claims even though they didn't want a roof. When you get a named storm, that is like a code word for like I could go to my insurance. This is years ago at least. That's a code word for I can go to my insurance company and get a brand new roof because Hurricane Ishkabab, I just made that up, came in and took off my roof. Now you have to pay me $50,000, $100,000 for a new roof. That was happening like crazy here in Florida, and in fact, you said get people going door to door, like these public adjusters and lawyers and all kinds of businesses going around trying to solicit that kind of business. And so what will happen is they put a claim in and they would hit up the insurance company for the cost of the roof. And guess what happened? Insurance companies went that away. So there have been less carriers here. Now, Governor DeSantis here, love him or hate him, I don't care what you think of him, doesn't matter. For this video, I'll tell you this. He put a lot of legislation in place to get those people going from door to door, from doing stuff, and it is improving. The problem is there was such a mess, some of that stuff is going to take a while to fix. And while we're fixing it, it's still not 100% perfect. I have a way around it. As I mentioned, we do relocation. We have a new home co-broker. And that's important because I have found that I just did one a couple of days ago where the guy was like, I can't believe how low the insurance was. And the reason is that if you're buying a new home, that's why we do a lot of this stuff. If you're buying a new home, your insurance premium on a homeowner's insurance is a lot less. I'll give you some examples. A home, let's say we get a lot of places that are three to four bedrooms, a lot of single family homes. Let's call that somewhere in the 700-800s. That we do a lot of homes in that range. The average price of a home here in Palm Beach is $640,000. Our average is higher than that. But let's say we're somewhere in 900,000, right? A home built today, like this guy we spoke to 2 days ago, he says, Ray, my insurance was $2,600 a year. That's $2,600 a year. People have been bracing for a lot more than that, because you see these other YouTube videos about how terrible it is. If you buy a new construction home, it's not so bad. So, but here's the deal: that house, let's call it, let's say 3 to 4 bedroom is average. Let's say 3,000 square feet is pretty much average. You buy that same house built in 2005, your insurance now is going to be more like $8,000. That's the problem. It is the number one problem when it comes to moving here in Florida. We help people navigate that. I had someone that bought $1 million house not too long ago up in Avenir, and it's same story. $1 million house was bracing for the worst, and he was paying slightly less than $3,000 a year. I think most people are bracing for worse. I do know some people that have lived in their houses from the 90s, that now they're looking at like $15,000 a year insurances. That's a problem. So one of the ways they're handling it is by getting a new roof, and that can cost money. If you're looking to navigate the cost between old and new and roofs and what you need to look for, you need to reach out to our team. We'd love to help you. Here's a couple of side notes when it comes to moving to Florida. Taxes. I get a lot of people that expect to move here and think that taxes are really very low compared to, even though they pay $1 bajillion in Massachusetts and Illinois and New York, here you can move to Florida and the tax is going to be significantly lower. Wrong. Taxes here might be lower than some of these places, but it's not by a lot. Remember, there's no state tax. When I say tax, I mean real estate taxes. Remember, there's no state tax here in Florida. That's a big bonus. If you have a strong income, that is a big plus. So the state has to figure out a way to collect the money to do good things, to build the roads and to cut down, to trim these coconut palm trees and whatnot. They've got to figure out a way. So the way they do it is through real estate taxes. If you want to know what that is, there's a difference between Palm Beach and Martin County and St. Lucie County and Monroe County, where the Keys are located. If you want to know the differences, they're all roughly the same, but there are some differences within 0.5% or so. Reach out. I'll give you some guidance as to what that looks like. But needless to say, our real estate taxes, don't expect to come down here and have a significantly reduced real estate tax bill. It's just not the way it works. Moving to Florida, the problem, schools. I wasn't going to mention this one, but I thought about it because I know when I moved down here 18 years ago now, and I haven't looked back, as I said earlier, one of the big things that people warned us about was the schools. It says, Ray, if you move to Florida, you have a big downgrade in schools. Now, I moved here with kids, so it was an issue. I had 2 boys, young boys, now older boys. One's graduating, the other one's about ready to graduate. Will be graduating soon. And my daughter's in high school, so I've seen the whole realm when it comes to schools. If you're moving here with families, we need to speak. I can give you the insight on what's involved with that, but that was one of the problems that they were saying that's going on down here in Florida. That's completely false. The schools, I find, give you so many more options here in Florida that we experienced in New York. And so I wouldn't say it's a lie. There are a lot of people that will talk to you as if they know what they're talking about, and they don't. Go figure. I'm sure you've experienced that at some point in your life. It is very true when it comes to moving to Florida as well. Not to mention, the goal in school for kids, right, is college, right? You want them to go to college. Let's just say that's one of your objectives. We have some of the best colleges there is here in Florida. University of Florida is one of the top public schools in the entire country. It's ranked, I want to say 1, 2, or 3 or something like that. And it goes up every year. Florida State, University of Central Florida, the private schools like University of Miami. We have some great schools here, and they have great programs. So if you have younger kids, there's charter schools, there are magnet schools. There are a lot of options when it comes to moving here to Florida. So when it comes to navigating moving to Florida, looking at new construction is a is a solution for a lot of people. We have a new construction website that can help you look for only new construction around this area. If you're interested in knowing more about that, reach out to our team. Shoot me an email, call us, text us. I'd love to send you our new construction website. It's a great way to get a sense as to what the prices are and what you might be able to afford. And like I said, one of the problems might be land. It'll give you an idea of what that aspect of buying a new home here in Florida can look like. So when it comes to moving to Florida, there's like anything else. One of the things that people like about us is we tell the good and the bad, the pros and the cons. I hear that when we work with clients. We have clients in town every week. I hear that more often than anything else. Is how we don't sugarcoat things, and we give people the good and the bad. At the end of the day, if you're not happy, we're not happy. I don't care whether you buy that house there, or the one down Avenir, or the one over in Arden, or the one up in Bridgewater. It doesn't matter to me. I want you to be happy. The builder's going to pay us regardless. That's the other thing. There's no cost out of your pocket when you use us. That's the other thing I think that people don't realize. So there are some pros too when it comes to moving. Of course there are pros. I mean, look at this beautiful ocean. We get beautiful weather. I could be out here in January. What are you doing in January? Are you shoveling snow? So when it comes to moving to Florida, there are problems, but there's also a lot of good. Reach out to our team if you want to know how to fix possibly those problems and or, of course, some of the good when it comes to moving to Florida. Reporting live from Palm Beach, paradise here in Florida.